This week, our dining fable is going to try and answer a really tricky question. Is it possible to find great shellfish on the high street? Now I know shellfish is not for everyone, but for me it's one of my favourite foods, but I rarely have it unless I'm near the coast. Are you a shellfish fan, or do you run a mile from mussels, crabs or lobster? Leave a comment and let me know what you think. This is going to be a tricky fable, because I may be located close to the Thames, but the last time I looked, you don't tend to get a great deal of shellfish from fresh water. So is it possible to get fresh, responsibly sourced and well cooked shellfish here? If you have any great stories or recommendations, either locally or from around the coast, about amazing shellfish, and let me know below. So welcome to Dining Fables, a food channel dedicated to going local to eat global. This week I'm off to Shellfish Cow in Henley on Thames to find out not only if they can achieve something difficult, which is to provide delicious shellfish and an amazing dining experience, but can they possibly live up to one of the greatest restaurant names I've come across in ages. For a surf and turf restaurant, Shellfish Cow is a work of genius. Hopefully I can shake the hand of whoever came up with that name. I do love a good food-based pun. This will be the first time Dining Fables has made it over to Henley, so I'm excited to see how much has changed since the last time I was here, which was pre-lockdown. And as Shellfish Cow only opened in December 19, it's a really pleasant surprise to learn that it was here whilst I was searching on Google for shellfish restaurants. Now I appreciate that many restaurants have shellfish on their menu, albeit on the starter section, and perhaps fish as the main course, but clearly things like salmon, sea bass, trout, which many restaurants have, are not shellfish, and that's not what I'm after. But what I really wanted was to find somewhere that had shellfish as the star attraction across the menu. Shellfish Cow thankfully fitted the bill perfectly. Let's check them out online. So it appears they actually have two locations, one here in Henley and the other in Wallingford, which is quite a lot further away from me. So I'm really glad they decided to open up a location here. Okay, no mucking about, let's go straight to the menu as I really can't wait. So what have we got? Lunch and dinner menu, that's great, as usual I'm heading over there at lunchtime. Oh my goodness, yes, half a dozen Devon Scallops with sweetcorn puree and crab fritters. Oh yum, mussels in tarragon and vermouth. I'm usually a mille mariniere kind of guy, but I love the sound of the tarragon, so that might be really good. That's a really nice sounding selection of steaks, but not for me, not this time. Oh wow, prawns. By the dozen or 2 dozen, now that's the sort of thing I'm after. Maybe the Cornish brown, crab or lobster. This is possibly the toughest menu I've had to deal with in ages. Aha, lunch. Okay, that makes things slightly easier. I think the Shellfish Cow taste of Cataplana for me sounds amazing. It's got a little bit of everything, although it's probably not fair to say a little, as it sounds like there's quite a lot of food there, but that's exactly what I'm after. Now I've got no idea what a Cataplana is, but I'm sure a quick Google search will sort that out. What a brilliant menu. What would you have ordered? Drop a comment below. We've also got cocktails, a good selection of wine. I'm super excited about this. Okay, let's have a quick look at the gallery and then on to Instagram for a good look of what's in store for me. What a cool looking place, and I do really love a bit of quirkiness. Strangely, there's no picture of the food though, so that doesn't really help with my Cataplana mystery. Okay, on to Instagram. Yeah, that's a bit more like it. Just what I was hoping to see. Plates upon plates of delicious shellfish. Looking really fresh, really delicious. Oh my word, look at this bad boy. That lobster is absolutely enormous. I can't wait for this one, so let's get out of the virtual world and into the real world. Let's eat out. Okay, so I'm diving straight into some popcorn cockles here. The first time I had these was actually on a trip to North Norfolk, but they're a bit of a local delicacy. But this is the first time I found them this far south. So if you get the chance to check out these crunchy, deep fried cockles served at Shellfish Cow, it comes with a delicious creamy sauce. But I've also had them served with simply vinegar, but also some punchy chilli salt. These crispy cockles make a perfect starter, or to share tapas style. Onto the scallops now, with crab frittata and a sweetcorn puree. Oh look at this, I love the fact they've left the roe on. In my experience this is not usual, as most of the time when the fishermen shuck the scallop on the boat, the roe gets taken off and goes back into the sea. This is usually because it's slower and trickier to keep the roe on and the mussel intact. Once they're shucked, they are packaged and put into cold storage on the boat. So unless the restaurant buys the scallops still in the shell and shucks it themselves, it's unlikely that the roe would be used. These scallops are just so good, you can tell they're fresh, and the addition of the roe is absolutely delicious. So what do you think? Is it better to have the roe on or the roe off? Drop a comment below. But as usual, I would say it's probably just a matter of preference, although it does seem a bit of a waste to throw it away. But aside from that, I would say there are some definite advantages to eating your scallop with the roe on. For starters, when you eat a scallop with the roe on, you can be sure that it was brought to shore alive, and therefore the product is much more likely to be fresher than one that's served without the roe. Additionally, scallop roe is packed full of essential vitamins and nutrients that are considered by some to be superfoods. Now let's give these crab frittatas a go. Wow, very crispy, and as usual, crab works incredibly well with sweetcorn. And the puree really is lovely. Okay, wow, that really was all delicious. I'm going to limit myself to one more of these popcorn cockles, otherwise I'm never going to have room for the Cataplana. And via the magic of editing, here we go. Oh my goodness, I can't begin to tell you how good this smells. And just so you know, I also ordered a side of skinny fries and a side of bread to mop up all these delicious juices. You can see that the scallops here have still got the roe on. so I'm sure they're going to be just as good as the previous dish. You get the choice of sauce in the Cataplana, either garlic and lemon, chili and ginger, or a Provençal sauce. I went for the garlic and lemon just because it's such a classic with shellfish. Now I know on the menu it said it comes with a dozen king prawns, but now they're actually here, they're enormous and I can't quite get over how many there are. As I knew this was going to be a special meal, I actually thought I'd go for a glass of wine, which if you're interested was a French Sauvignon Blanc and worked really well with the seafood. Okay, back to the prawns. They really are amazing and in this sauce, absolutely sing. They're fresh and juicy, and I really like the fact they've taken the effort to devein them, which is always appreciated. A detail missed in some other restaurants. Now I know this is a little weird, and certainly not the fault of the restaurant, but sometimes I actually like to shell my own prawns, as I like to get involved and I like the mess. But I do accept that most people probably don't, so you can definitely understand why they've done it for you. When it comes to the mussels, I'm an absolute sucker for moules marinières, as I used to spend a lot of time in Belgium in my old corporate life before becoming a professional photographer, and I think that's where the dish originated from. But I do love new things, and I'm loving getting stuck into these. Now I promised at the start of this video to find out more about the Cataplana. It turns out the words for both the dish and the spherical pot it's cooked and served in. Originating from the Algarve in Portugal means that lots of Cataplana recipes are for fish or seafood based. Cataplanas were traditionally made of copper, although the first were made from zinc, but nowadays they're more likely to be made from aluminium or stainless steel. Each side of the Cataplana is shaped like a clam or wok, and they're connected by a small hinge. One side is placed onto the heat and filled up with ingredients. It can be anything as long as there is some sort of sauce, and then the lid is closed and left to cook. Aside from the taste cooking in a Cataplana gives, it's also fantastic for serving in, as all of the juices are kept inside as it boils and steams everything together. It's also a piece of wonderful culinary theatre when it comes to the table, and you get to dive in with your dining companions. Now not only do these mussels taste absolutely amazing, I just love how sustainable they are. Mussel farming is low impact with no requirement for chemical treatments or use of antibiotics or input of feed. They don't take up any of the limited space left on land, and they don't even require any fresh water in their farming. I also think they're great fun to eat using this cool technique I was shown in Belgium. You use the shell of your first mussel to pick out the protein. It's like nature's fork. Let me know if you've seen this technique before in the comments below, or even if you've got a better one. Now one of the reasons I ordered bread was to mop up this amazing liquor, which to remind you was the lemon and garlic option, mixed together with a fish stock made in-house containing leek and celery. It's simply delicious, and to be honest, I'd drink it given half a chance. So a top tip, and I would never normally advise this, but go for the bread over the skinny fries. Now that's not to say there's anything wrong with the skinny fries because they're crisp and salty and wonderful, but they're clearly not absorbent enough to mop up any of this wonderful sauce. As I mentioned earlier, there's another Shellfish Cow in Wallingford which opened in 2018, and the Henley operation opened in December 2019. But what more can we find out about them? So Shellfish Cow Restaurant and Bar isn't part of a chain, it's owned and run by two local experienced restaurateurs who simply love good food and entertaining and came up with the idea of Shellfish Cow over multiple rounds of golf. I just love that, and just goes to prove my theory that all good ideas come from either the pub or on the golf course, although some of you may disagree with me. Apparently both owners loved shellfish and spotted a gap in the market, which they've cleverly mixed with a quirky, relaxed environment. I couldn't agree more. I think it's an amazing venue and I'd love to come back in the evening, as they encourage people to share, smash and crack shells and get messy. Whether it's whole lobster, whole crabs, shell-on prawns, they provide a brilliant environment and loads of kitchen towel. In my opinion, they'll provide a super fun environment with amazing quality shellfish, but not in a fine dining way. And I mean that as a compliment, as those kinds of places can be a bit formal. I think Shellfish Cow wants you to get involved and get messy, and I'm definitely up for that. I'm also a big fan of the eclectic design concept here, which was apparently all done in-house, and much of it was being upcycled and handmade by the staff. In my opinion, this all works really well and complements the style and method of eating. It's very different to your standard restaurant experience, and I for one applaud someone who's taking a risk with something new. Now I'm nearly done. One more piece of bread I think. I'm actually rather shocked I've managed to work my way through that lot. Well, I say shocked, but I'm actually rather proud of myself. But when the food's this good, it's easy. So what's my takeaway from Shellfish Cow? Well, I love the fact that this restaurant knows exactly what it is and who it's for. Since lockdown, I've worked with and spoken to many other restaurateurs who've used the lockdown time positively to really focus on what their restaurant is, what it does really well, and cut out the rest. And I think Shellfish Cow is a perfect example of this and has done it remarkably well. It's a really high quality shellfish restaurant, which is pretty niche in itself, but they've also created a very unique, fun and quirky environment to enjoy it all in. From a light fitting delightfully restored from a Smarties tube, to the bar top, which is made from £120 of 1p pieces, to the refurbished tables and chairs, I absolutely love it. They know exactly who will enjoy this restaurant, and it's people that want amazing food but are happy to roll up their sleeves with a crab mallet, hammer and perhaps a seafood cracker and get very messy. Now rolls and rolls of kitchen towel will be essential to dine here. Before arriving, I thought there may be a danger that Shellfish Cow could be the sort of place with starched white linen and absolutely no sense of humour, but I guess I should have known better from the name of the restaurant. Thankfully I couldn't have been more wrong. The surroundings are as unusual as the style of meal, and I can't wait to go back with a group of friends to perhaps share a selection of shellfish and steak. Every one of the dishes I ordered were cooked perfectly, although next time I would really like to get a bit messier. The staff were friendly, knowledgeable and attentive, and also there's a brilliant wine and cocktail selection. They've done a great job to create an atmosphere that is laid back and unstuffy, unlike many restaurants at this price point, which is much more up my street. I would definitely recommend this to anyone who loves shellfish and steak. You'll love dining as a couple, but I think you'll have more fun as a group. However, just make sure you're not wearing your best outfit, whoever you end up dining with. Thank you so much for watching till the end of this dining fable video, and I hope it helps you to decide to visit Shellfish Cow soon. If you do, please let me know your thoughts in your comments and perhaps what you had to eat. Stuck for somewhere to eat next week, or perhaps in the coming months, then stick around for my restaurant playlist for other great Dining Fables videos to watch and devour.